sounds of spring at the Nashville Zoo. It's happening, isn't it, Jim?
That's right. Yeah, nothing beats a beautiful Friday in March that we're in right now. So yeah, it's a beautiful day.
We love having this show. It's What's New at the Zoo with Jim Bartoo. I'm Devon O'Day, and we're going to walk you through some of the cool things happening at our Nashville Zoo. If you're in the Nashville area, Middle Tennessee, or even in the state, the Nashville Zoo is your zoo. I'm just going to say it right now.
That's right.
And we have so much to be proud of. But let's talk about some of the events that are coming up.
Sure, yeah. And actually in April, we have a couple. The first one is very popular, and a lot of people probably already know about it. It's called Extravaganzoo. It takes place on the Saturday before Easter. And in essence, it's a giant egg hunt for kids.
So
and we have it divided
fun.
up into different age groups. So, you know, the little kids aren't in with the big kids. And so we have them running about every half hour or so. We have these running all day long, plenty of ways to participate. It's always a very popular day out here at the zoo. We'll see 15,000, 16,000 people out. So if you're planning on coming out early, get parked, get on into the zoo to enjoy it. That's April 19th is when that's going to happen.
And this thing sells out. If you wait till Easter weekend to just say, well, let's just pop in and go to the egg hunt, it doesn't work that way. You really do have to go in and make reservations because it will be a madhouse for eggs. And guess what? Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, aunts, uncles, you don't have to hide the eggs.
That's right. Yeah, we take care of all that stuff for you. So all of it's kind of included. And yeah, especially if you're going to come to be part of the breakfast, because we do offer an early entry that includes a breakfast with that. If you're going to be a part of that, you can go online and register for that. But that does sell out quickly, so be sure to get on and do that soon.
Will the Easter Bunny make an appearance?
I'm sure he will.
See, I just have to make sure. They do have, we're at the zoo, of course. Any place going to have the Easter Bunny, it's
Right.
going to be the Nashville Zoo.
Yep, and our mascot Twigga will also be there.
Twigga will be there. That's
Yep.
awesome. Well, let me ask about, that's the stuff for kids. There is something coming up very cool that has conservation and alcohol all combined. Sips for Species is coming up in April too.
That's right, yeah. April 25th, we have Sips for Species. This is a chance for adults to come out, enjoy the zoo in the evening, and learn all about our conservation work, meet some of the keepers and some of the work that they're doing with conservation, meet some of the animals that are out here, as well as enjoy lots of different samples of both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. We also have food trucks out here, and there's tons of entertainment. It's just a great way to spend an evening and a beautiful time of year in April to be able to do it. So that's April 25.
And I will tell you that the food at the zoo, yeah, they've got hot dogs and hamburgers and that kind of thing. That's the easy stuff. But I'm going to tell you, the pizza at the Pizza Kitchen is unbelievable. The Reuben that they make here.
That's right, yeah.
It's
good.
so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I even had, now here's the crazy part, a great salad at the zoo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you could eat great. They have a great sit-down evening restaurant. So it's a great date night. If you want to come to Sips for Species, go to nashvillezoo.org. Get your tickets right away.
That's right.
We
Yep.
don't provide the date.
That's right. And then, of course, we also have a camp out for families at the end of May. So if you're interested in coming out, it's called Zoofari Slumber, and it's a chance for you to spend the night at the zoo. If you're thinking about going camping with your kids, you haven't really taken them to a park yet or a state park or anything like that, you can bring them out to the zoo. We have you set up in the field, and there's all kinds of activities in the evening. You spend the night at the zoo, and then you can get up in the morning and actually see the keepers bring the animals out onto the exhibits in the morning, see them get fed and all kinds of stuff.
It's the most fun that you can have camping, I'm telling you. And you don't have to worry about any, when you go camping out in the woods, I mean, any kind of wild animal can come in and get you. These are all in cages. They're not going to come get you.
Well, I guess that's one way of looking at it. Yeah, that's right.
See, you're safe, except for the squirrels. Now, the squirrels are out. Now, the squirrels might come visit you.
Well, one thing we can guarantee is we guarantee that you're going to see animals sleeping overnight at the zoo that you won't see if you're camping in a Tennessee state park.
That's right. See, that's the way to say it.
We can almost guarantee that.
Well, speaking of what we can see now, we are in the home of the white rhino.
That's right. White rhino exhibits right behind us. We have 5, am I right? It's 5 rhinos that we have out here, 4 females and a male. And Nicole's going to come on next and tell us a little bit about all of our rhinos and the conservation work that we do.
So you guys stay tuned. If you're like me and you want to know more about these animals and they're fascinating, and you're at the zoo and you see them, you're going to find actually out about these animals. So stay tuned.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
Girls having fun?
Yeah, I'm going to key of my own pretty soon. Me too.
Good night, Kia guy.
Good night.
Buckle up, Dad.
There yet?
At Kia of Murfreesboro, we're here whether you're ready or not.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
We're back. It is What's New at the Zoo, and we're in the rhino enclosure, the white rhino enclosure. Jim Bartoo, we have a special guest.
That's right. We're not actually inside the white rhino exhibit because that would be dangerous. So
Yes, it would.
So Nicole's here with us. Nicole is our white rhino expert. She's going to tell us all about the rhinos that we have here, a little bit about our conservation, and a little bit about the backstage pass. And I want to talk a little bit about that first because the backstage passes are behind-the-scenes visits. You can go back to rhinos and visit rhinos. You get much closer, I assume, with that. But what else do you get? Do you get to ride them?
You definitely don't get to ride them.
Okay. All right.
That would be dangerous.
Yeah, all right.
And she gets that question a lot.
We just want to make sure we get that out on the table, right? No riding rhinos.
Yes, I do get that question a lot, and no, the answer is no.
Okay.
So for the backstage pass, we bring guests into the barn.
Okay.
And the barriers inside the barn are what we call bollards, and it's these big metal poles. I don't know, spaced about 18 inches apart from each other. And the rhinos will line up against those poles, and we can, usually, we can allow guests to come up one at a time and scratch the rhino.
Scratch the rhino.
Scratch the rhino. It sounds like a song, doesn't it?
Scratch the Rhino was the name of my high school band.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, so walk the elephant, scratch the rhino.
Scratch the rhino. Right.
Shock the monkey. I mean, it's just all the songs.
That's
all the
right.
songs.
Yes.
That's right. So when you scratch them, you mean like with their fingers, or do you give them a brush, or how does that work?
We have both options depending on what the guest is interested in.
Okay.
So yeah, they can use their hand and pet the rhino and feel the textures of their skin. It's unlike pretty much anything else. It's got a lot of really cool textures. They are rather dusty, so your hands will kind of turn a color a little bit. You can wash your hands afterwards.
Right.
We always joke that petting rhinos is great for exfoliating your hands because they're so rough, they'll make your hands so smooth.
Right, yeah, and if you've never had the chance to touch a rhino, chances are you're not going to get a chance unless you come and do a tour like this at the Nashville Zoo, because it's just an incredible opportunity to not only get close to rhinos and touch a rhino, but also learn a lot about the rhinos. And that's kind of takes us into our next questioning. Tell us about our rhinos here.
So we have a crash of 1.4, which basically means we have one male.
Yeah, no, wait, stop. A crash, what does that mean?
A crash is the rhino term for a herd.
Okay, so it's a herd of rhinos that's called a crash.
Yes,
got it.
They're called a crash. That's rhino-specific term. Okay. So we've got 1.4, which means one male and 4 females.
Okay.
Hopefully that they will breed and we will make more.
And,
That's the
and
goal.
Are we seeing any evidence of that so far?
Starting to.
All right.
He's still learning.
Is he?
Yeah.
And how does a male rhino learn that? Do you have like videos that you show him? Or how?
Unfortunately, no.
A couple of magazines to throw in the back.
He's got to
you know?
figure it out for himself.
He's got to figure
Okay.
it out for himself, yeah.
But,
And it's
I think
getting
we all
there.
kind of went through that to some degree.
Okay, you got white rhinos here.
We do.
What's the difference? And is it about a color? How did they get the name white rhino?
So no, it doesn't have anything to do with the color. There are 5 types of rhinos, 5 species of rhinos. They're all a grayish color. Ours actually a lot of times look red, but that's just because we give them a red clay that they roll in. So sometimes they'll look red, sometimes they'll look black. It just kind of depends on what clay they're rolling in. They get the name from a translation error referring to their mouths. It was wide because this is the only of the 5 species that has a wide mouth, and the translation made it sound like white.
Oh,
So yeah, so it's
like a
nothing to do with the
bass,
color.
y'all. If you're in this area and you fish, it's a wide mouth bass, it's a wide mouth rhino, it's a white rhino. There you go.
Yep, that's
I
right.
love it.
And it's wide because they eat grasses, right? They pick grasses up out of the ground. Black rhinos have more like a prehensile lip, right? And they strip things off of bushes and trees.
Kind of
you'll
like
see
the
them eat-
giraffe. Kind of
Right.
like the giraffe,
Kind of,
the
yeah,
overbite.
kinda like
yeah.
that, but it's the lips
Like that.
instead of the tongue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, wow.
you said there's 5 different species. Talk to me about their status in the wild. I understand they're all endangered. What is the status of each of them?
So there's 2 species in Africa. You've got the white rhino and the black rhino.
Okay.
Those are the 2 African species. Of those species, the white rhinos are the more prolific species.
Okay.
So they are doing better. Caveat to that is there's 2 subspecies to the white rhinos, the northern white and the southern white.
Right.
We have southern white. There are only 2 southern white rhinos left in the world. So they are essentially extinct because they're only females.
Northern white rhinos.
Northern white.
Northern white
Yes.
there's only 2 left. All right. And then
Only, do you guys hear that? Now, this is so important. It's why the zoo does what we do.
Yep.
What we do. I have nothing to do with it. I'm just here. But the 2 left, and what does that mean? It means it's the end of a species if this goes away.
Yes, so they effectively went extinct in 2018 when the male died. So there was 1 male and 2 females, and the male died in March of 2018.
Oh,
and so
my
that
goodness.
species, that subspecies, went extinct then. So we have southern white rhinos, and they are the most prolific of the 5 species.
And they talk slower.
and then what are the other 3 species that
And
are
then
out
we've
there?
got 3 species that live in Asia. You've got the greater one-horned rhinos, formerly called the Indian rhinos, and then you've got the Javan rhinos and the Sumatran rhinos. So
And what's their status?
yeah, so of those, the only one that's in captivity at all is the greater one-horned. Both
Okay.
the Javan and the Sumatran are not doing so hot.
Okay.
We don't have exact numbers, but there's about 70 Javans and about 40 Sumatrans left estimated.
Right.
They are just in the wild in
Right.
Asia.
And people in the zoo business know why this is the case, but
Yes.
for people that may not know, why are they disappearing?
So unfortunately, it's due to poaching.
Okay.
So there is a former belief that their horn has a lot of medicinal value to it, which has been drastically disproven.
Yeah,
Their
it does not.
No,
Right.
it is not. Their horn is made of keratin. So keratin is the same material that my hair and my
yeah,
fingernails are
makes
made
your
up
hair.
of.
Right,
That's
right.
all it is. Their horn grows their entire life, just like your hair and your fingernails do, and they file them down. That's why all of their horns look different. They file them just like you file your nails down.
Right.
And they do that themselves.
They do that themselves, yeah. We don't modify their horns here.
And it's not an emery board. They actually use their head against like rough surfaces.
Rocks and trees and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yep. And that's why they all look different. It's just how they choose to do it.
Gotcha.
So, but unfortunately, they're poached for that horn, and then
okay.
it's ground down and turned into a powder, and then sold to be magical.
that's-
basically.
And
That's
what's
just
unfortunate, and I've seen, and they don't do anything with the rest of the rhino. That's the other thing too. It's bad that they take the rhino horn. It's bad that they take the rhino, but that rhino is just left hornless. Okay, if you got a rhino in time, could they live without their horn?
They can, and
Okay.
it'll still grow. So
Okay.
if they are able to make it through that, then their horn will continue to grow after that. There are some conservation groups that's what they do, is they'll anesthetize rhinos in Africa and surgically remove their horn.
So
and then
people
wake
won't
back
kill
up.
them.
Yes.
Right.
But yes, poachers a lot of times will just shoot them. Like they're not anesthetizing them.
Yeah.
They will just shoot them with a weapon and then cut off their horn.
Take the horn. Yeah.
And then leave them.
So
It's unfortunate.
what is Nashville Zoo doing to help rhinos in conservation? What kind of work are we doing?
Yeah, so we partner with the IRF, which is International Rhino Foundation, and send them money and help support them every year. We
Gotcha.
also are, we work a lot with IRCA, so the International Rhino Keeper Association.
Okay.
And we've got a keeper that's on the board of directors for that association, and I'm actually sending 2 people to a conference here in May to
Great.
go work with that. And then I'm actually going to South Africa in August to work on
Wow.
a rhino conservation trip.
That-
for
well,
the
so
zoo.
we're going to have to talk about this again when August rolls around. We're going to have you back in maybe September.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your experience out there in the field working with rhinos.
Yeah, definitely.
You work with rhinos every day. Are they affectionate? Do they see you as their handler? Do they recognize you when you walk in? Or are you just the food lady?
No, they definitely know the difference between us. Whether they've got really bad eyesight. I'm not saying they can't tell us by vision, but between our smells and just like the sounds, the way our keys are on our belt, you know, how we walk, they definitely recognize us when we walk in the building, and different rhinos react differently to different keepers. So we form relationships
Amazing.
with
So
them for
if
sure.
you were to like call them right now, would they come over here?
I don't know out here. I could probably get Norma to at least perk up and pay attention to me, but they're all
So they-
snoozing in a puddle, so I
Yeah,
don't
they
know
all
if
have
they'll cut
names.
up.
So give us the names.
So our male is TC,
TC, and that stands for
the cheetah.
the cheetah, right?
Yes, it was a donor name.
Yep, yep.
So stands for the cheetah, but
Right.
we've abbreviated it as TC.
Someone thought it was going to be a great idea to say, hey, let's go see the cheetah, and in actuality, you're
Because
going
you
to
see a rhino.
Yeah.
a male rhino. That's right. Yeah. So
And then we've got our 4 females. So we've got Norma, Nandi, Mojwani, and Casey.
fantastic. What's the best time to see them?
Right when we open at 9 o'clock every day, and then in the summer hours especially, probably 4 to 6, the
Okay.
last few hours of the day, they're going to be the most active.
When it's cooler.
Yes, when it's cooler, that is always the best time for most animals. A lot of times you'll see them sleeping under these shelters, and they kind of do like a cuddle puddle, as we call it, where they all just pile up in there
Rhino
together.
cuddle puddle.
They do.
Fantastic. And so if there's one thing that you could wish that every guest at the Nashville Zoo knew about rhinos, and maybe even specifically our rhinos, what would that be?
So rhinos, like, they have such strong personalities. Most of the animals do, but we work really closely with these guys. We're able to get hands-on with them every day. We don't go in with them. We do have a barrier between us for safety reasons, but we get hands-on with them every day. They train, they voluntarily train for us. We're able to do blood draws and injections and that kind of stuff with them. And
tell
they
us why-
just have such good personalities.
Why is that important? Why is it important to train a rhino to do those things, to present themselves in that manner?
Yeah, it's just easier and safer for both us and them. There's vaccines that they need every year to just maintain their health.
One heck of a needle to get through that, right?
It is. They have softer spots of skin.
Okay,
we
where
go
do you
through
give
for that.
where do you give a rhino a vaccination?
Kind of right behind their arm.
About
a little bit softer
about like
skin.
people. Yeah, kind of the same way. Although for us,
No, like almost in the armpit area
wow.
where it's softer.
Yeah.
See, I knew that you guys learn stuff all the time. Well, thank you so much for being with
Yeah,
us.
no problem. Thank you.
You know what? It wouldn't be the zoo without a special guest with a special animal, and we're going to meet one of our ambassador animals coming up next. You guys, don't go away. And when you come to the white rhino exhibit on the backstage pass, know that you can also rent this space for a party. We'll tell you
That's
about
right.
that when we come back.
You girls having fun?
Yeah, I'm going to key of my own pretty soon. Me too.
Good night, Kia guy.
Good night.
Buckle up, Dad.
Are we there yet?
At Kia of Murfreesboro, we're here whether you're ready or not.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
All right, we're back with another What's New at the Zoo, and we like to call this session Therapy with Devon. It's another episode where we get to introduce her to another snake, because we know
Yet
that
another snake.
Devon loves snakes, so this is therapy for her. This constant exposure is kind of bringing her closer to the wonder that is snakes.
You're pretty. I still don't want you as a pet.
That's fair.
Or a belt. I don't. I mean, you know.
We're here with Lindsay.
Lindsay is and she's good with Loki. This is Loki, you guys. Meet Loki. Loki is a happy camper right now because the black has been absorbing this warmth of the sun, and Loki thinks, "Oh, this is great." Loki's at a spa right now.
Yeah, he's being super active because he's very warm. Feeling very nice.
Tell us about this snake. What kind of snake is it?
So Loki is a ball python.
Okay.
He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing right now, turning into a ball, which is good. They do that when they feel scared or threatened. They kind of do it very similar to an armadillo, where they curl up so they could cover their head and their vital organs.
Wow. And that's why they're called ball pythons.
And that's why they're called
I didn't know they did that.
Wow, you learn something new every day.
Another interesting thing about these guys is that they're also nicknamed the royal python because they were actually worn as living jewelry by chieftains in Africa.
Wow.
They are notorious for, rolling up in the ball and wrapping around people's wrists for bracelets and necks for necklaces. So, and they would be alive, and that would be a sign of kind of wealth and power.
Gotcha.
And crazy. And that's just, whoa.
So what, in their native habitat, where do they live? In trees? Do they live on the ground? Tell me a little bit about their habitat.
They are living mostly on the ground. Males and females are different sizes. Loki is a male, so he's a little bit smaller. He could get 4 to... Loki, what are we doing? He could get 3
He said,
to
"There's
4
an armpit.
feet.
I'm going in there."
While females can get a little bit bigger, almost up to 6 feet.
Okay.
So males can be found a little semi-arboreal, so they can be found up in trees because they're smaller. Females typically stay on the ground because they're a little bit bigger.
Gotcha.
And they will live in grasslands and shrubbery and that kind of stuff, and they will use tunnels and burrows dug by smaller mammals, not only for looking for food, but also places to sleep in and hide out.
And if people come to the zoo, can they see Loki? Where would they go to see Loki?
So Loki is one of our ambassador animals, so he lives behind the scenes, but we do encounters at 10 and 3 at the Unseen New World, so the potential to see Loki high. He's a very good snake.
A very good snake. Let me ask you this. What does Loki eat?
So Loki eats small rodents. He can eat anything the size of his belly, the widest part of his belly. So we're safe. Yeah, we're good. I think we're good.
You're fine.
But we feed them mice here, mice and small rats. Really cool thing is that their head, much smaller than the widest part of their belly. If we take a look. They are able to unhinge their jaw, and probably not the way that we think. We think it's like, oh, they're extending their jaw. Their jaws are made out of 2 bones. So ours is made of 1 big one around. They're made up of 2 with cartilage in the middle, so they're able to spread their mouths even wider.
Oh, wow.
To eat their prey whole.
That's great.
Okay, we know what happens when they go in, but there's no hole at the end of this little tail here, right?
Yes, so there's no
I
hole.
mean, it doesn't. I mean, it goes through. I mean, this is how life works.
Yes. So they have.
How does the body work?
So this, technically, their tail, this is where the body ends. And they have a small set of scales on the bottom that you could kind of see over here where it looks a little bit different between the tail.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I see it.
And that is a space called a cloaca. And so a cloaca is basically one opening for everything. So they will lay eggs there, they will pee there, they will poop there.
All right.
And
Fantastic.
is that where they make new baby snakes?
That is also where they make new baby snakes.
Okay.
And I know that some snakes give birth to live snakes, and others kind of lay eggs. Which one is this?
They lay eggs. They lay about 10 to 11 eggs, and they're interesting because most people think of eggs, they think chicken eggs, but snake and reptile eggs tend to be leathery, so it's not a hard
like a
shell.
turtle egg. Kind of like a turtle egg.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, kind of like a turtle egg.
And then do they protect the nest after they lay them, or do they just kind of leave it out to fate?
They kind of leave it up to fate, they say. They will sometimes like stay around that area, but they're not ones that will like
Defend the nest.
and protect the nest. Yeah, they're
Okay.
kind of on their own. They hatch about 55 to 60 days,
Oh wow, okay.
and then
Does Loki have a girlfriend?
Loki does not have a girlfriend. We do have a female, but they live in separate enclosures. Her name is Melissa, and she just turned 31 this year.
31, so
Yes.
an older woman.
An
And you
older
said
woman.
and how old is Loki?
Loki is 10.
Oh, a little out of your range, Loki.
Little out
You're
of the
gonna have to
range.
wait a little bit for that.
He's
Well,
just
thank
like
you
all
so
over.
How
much.
often do they eat? How often do they eat, first of all? How often?
So they'll eat every couple of weeks, depending on how large the prey item they eat, because they just have one large meal at a time. So whenever it gets finished digesting,
Do people keep ball pythons as pets?
they do keep them as pets. These are actually the second most prevalent reptile pet behind bearded dragons.
Wow.
Because they're very docile, rather than, like I said, when they get scared, instead of striking out, they'll curl themselves into a ball. Makes them really good and safe pets.
Can they bite?
They can bite. Anything with a mouth can bite, unfortunately.
I can bite.
A class,
Devon.
yeah. But these guys, they have sharp teeth, but they mostly use that to hold onto their prey while they're constricting. They don't have any venom. And if snake, if they feel scared, they'll like strike out and be like a quick bite to kind of like scare a predator away. These guys, like I said, don't typically do that. They will typically hide into a little ball.
Great. So if people come out to the zoo, 10 or 3 o'clock, out near the amphitheater, is where
Yeah,
you can.
yeah.
Might be able to see them. It might be another animal. They have a lot of ambassador animals. So
Yes.
10 and 3 o'clock, kind of show up there. You'll see a keeper out there with some kind of animal. It could be Loki. It could be a different animal. A great way to get an up-close look at some animal and answer any kind of questions that you have about that animal, because you're talking to the experts when they're out there. These are the real superstars at the zoo. So anytime you can corner them and say, tell me about this animal you're holding, you're going to learn something new every
Loki's
single time.
totally into TV time. Totally into TV time. He goes, I'm a star. Today,
is. He said,
Loki,
how do I
a
get-
star is born. Thank you so much, Lindsay. We
Yeah, no
appreciate
problem.
you. And we thanks to our sponsors. We've got Kia of Murfreesboro, a great place to get your car service, great place to get a new Kia. And
We've got Busy Bee plumbing, heating, and cooling. All of those things they can do for you. So
Yes.
if you need any of it, Busy Bee's the guys to call. They'll help you.
I always say, go ahead and put that name on the refrigerator because you're going to need it. Busy Bee. They're the ones with the big B. They're the only ones with the big B. And we're going to say BB right now. BB. That means bye-bye. This is What's New at the Zoo. We'll be back next month. See you later. NashvilleZoo.org. Don't forget.